When we talk about the tools for learning, reading obviously bubbles to the top. But what your students are reading is just as important as the fact that they are reading. What kinds of books best support self-education? Let me show you. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now. We bring you new encouragement and Charlotte Mason training for homeschool parents every week. We've been talking about the tools for self-education that will equip our students to continue learning their entire lives. Check the description for links to the previous episodes in this series. Last time, we discussed the power of observing and how that tool is built into a Charlotte Mason education. Today, let's talk about another tool for learning, reading. Books play a big part in a Charlotte Mason approach, but not just any books. Charlotte Mason is famous for saying, "Let their books be living books." The Story of Charlotte Mason, page 51. A living book is a well-written book, usually crafted by one author who has a passion for that subject. It's a book into which the writer has put his heart as well as a highly trained mind. The Story of Charlotte Mason, page 175. Therefore, a living book also touches the reader's heart. It fires the imagination, touches the emotions, and gives the reader ideas to ponder, not just dry facts to memorize for an upcoming test. Living books are closely related to observation. We talked last time about how powerful a tool observation can be. Well, a living book makes the subject come alive as though you were observing what was happening or being described. These kind of books are the next best thing when first-hand observation is not possible. For example, we can't go back in time to personally observe a historical event or to walk beside a historical person and learn about his life in real time. But a living book, one that touches our emotions and fires our imagination, can make it seem as though we are there, observing that person or event. A living book is often written in literary style, as a narrative or a conversation, using well-written sentences that don't talk down to the reader. Charlotte believed that children are equal to worthy thoughts well put, inspiring tales well told. Parents and Children, page 263. The advantage of a well-written book in literary style is that it makes it easy for the reader to engage, to pay full attention. Well-told stories are powerfully attractive. The mental pictures that they paint are not easily ignored or dismissed. They usually entice the reader to want to know more. And the ideas they present can find a ready home in the reader's mind and heart. Textbooks, on the other hand, are much more difficult to engage with. They require more effort to use and are usually void of any living ideas that can feed the mind and heart. Let me give you an example. I'll read a short excerpt from two books that tell about the Webb telescope. Both are intended for students from first grade up. I'll read just the first 100 words or so from each one and let you experience the difference for yourself. Here's the first one. Space is mesmerizing and mysterious. We've learned a lot about our universe, but there are still so many secrets yet to be revealed. Since the beginning of time, humans have been curious about the cosmos, but how can we explore the vastness of space from our small planet? Thanks to human ingenuity, we've discovered a great deal from space missions, satellites, and telescopes. Sending telescopes into space is especially helpful. A space telescope operates above our atmosphere, which allows it to collect more and different kinds of light than telescopes on Earth. That light can be used to create incredible space images that give us a more complete view of the universe. Did that writing engage your imagination and touch your emotions? Could you see it in your mind's eye? Let's read the other one now. Bill Oakes stood in NASA's Mission Control Room on Christmas morning of 2021, watching the countdown. His gaze was riveted on the rocket poised atop the launch pad. Packed inside, folded up like a giant's fanciful umbrella, was the James Webb Space Telescope, the most powerful telescope ever built. For the past 11 years, Bill had been shepherding this project. He knew that years of work, billions of dollars, and the efforts of thousands of scientists and engineers were all funneled down to this moment. If the launch went well, this telescope would expand humanity's view into the far reaches of the universe. If anything failed, there would be no second chances. How about that one? Did it involve your emotions and your imagination? Could you see it in your mind's eye? The second one was a living book. The narrative draws you in and makes you want to learn more. These types of books are used in several subjects in a Charlotte Mason homeschool. We read living books about history. We read living narratives about different regions of the world in geography, and those narratives take us there, as it were. We read a living book in Bible lessons, for the Bible is the living book. And of course, we use living books for literature and also for science. And Charlotte tucked some living narratives into music study, picture study, and poetry as well, reading well-written biographies about the composers and the artists and the poets. The Simply Charlotte Mason curriculum uses living books in these subjects throughout the grades. Check the description for links to some of our favorites and to learn more about our curriculum. Everyone loves a story, so using worthy living books that paint a person's story is a great advantage as we encourage our students to become lifelong readers. Reading requires effort. Just as with any tool, the book does not do the work itself. There must be an engaged person using that tool in order for it to accomplish anything. We must read in order to know, or we do not know by reading. A Philosophy of Education, page 13. Just moving the eyes across the words and turning the pages to the end does not guarantee that the reader is learning. A key to self-education is to be actively engaged, and living books help make that work enjoyable and rewarding. Have you ever been in a situation where you put forth effort to accomplish a task, and for some reason, maybe it was the people you shared that work with or the environment in which you were working, but for some reason, that work was so pleasant that the time just flew by? When you stopped to think about it, you realized it had been enjoyable labor. Well, that's what living books can do for self-education. The reader must put forth the effort, but the labor is enjoyable. Let me give you 3 practical tips to encourage your student to put forth the effort of reading. Tip number 1, choose books carefully. If you want to encourage your student to become a lifelong reader, look for books that are well-written by one author who has a passion for the subject. Books that touch the emotions and fire the imagination, that you can see in your mind's eye as you read. Books that draw you in and make you want to keep reading. Those are true living books. Use the book lists on our website and in our curriculum to help you in this important task. Charlotte acknowledged that there is nothing which calls for more delicate tact and understanding sympathy with the children than this apparently simple matter of choosing their lesson books. Home Education, page 290. In other words, choose books that will be interesting to your student. Most likely a book that you would enjoy reading too. When in doubt, give the book a 1-page test. Flip it open anywhere and start reading. If after 1 page, you are drawn in and you want to keep going, it's probably a living book. If, on the other hand, after 1 page, your imagination has not been stirred, you're not seeing the narrative in your mind's eye, it's probably not a living book. The good news is that there are hundreds of wonderful living books across a wide variety of subjects, so check the description for links. Tip number 2, prioritize comprehension over speed. As your student is learning to read for himself, and even after he has learned how to read and is doing the reading for himself, remember that comprehension is more important than speed. Understanding what you have read is more important than how quickly you read it, especially in a Charlotte Mason approach. The next tool that we will discuss is telling about what you learned through your observation or your reading. And Charlotte was adamant that this telling should happen after only one reading, no matter how slow. Comprehension is the goal. We do still want to give our students plenty of practice in reading so they can gain fluency. But fluency is about smoothness and ease in reading. It's important because it makes the reading more comfortable for the reader. But fluency and speed are two different things. Focus on the comprehension and the fluency, and then the speed will usually increase quite naturally. But give each student the respect that he or she deserves as a person by allowing each one to set his or her own speed. As long as that student is giving full attention, is engaged and trying to learn, the speed is of secondary importance. Prioritize comprehension. Tip number 3, read with your student. The beauty of the Charlotte Mason approach is that your student can learn from wonderful living books even if he's not reading for himself yet. In fact, that's how Charlotte set up her methods. The teacher is expected to read aloud until the student is comfortable reading at about a 4th grade level. At that point, you can gradually transition to having your student read the living books for himself. Now remember, a good living book is a well-written book. It is not dumbed down with stilted, easy-reading, one-syllable word sentences. Your student is capable of understanding good sentences even when he can't read them for himself. And I love how this approach respects children with dyslexia. Your child can learn from delightful living books with well-written sentences and powerful ideas, no matter his age or where he is in the learning to read process. And I'll let you in on a little secret. These books are so good that you will want to read them along with your student. Many homeschool parents who use the Charlotte Mason method have discovered living books, and they find a new joy in learning themselves. The dry textbooks from their own school days might have quenched their curiosity and turned history or geography or science into this dry as dust subject. But living books have rekindled their own joy of discovery, and the parents are learning right along with their children and loving it. Have any of you experienced that? Leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear how living books have rekindled your love of learning. And they can do the same for your student. Living books preserve or rekindle that love of learning, and that's what we want. Children who enjoy reading so much that they continue learning through books for their entire lives. Charlotte assured us, once the habit of reading his lesson book with delight is set up in a child, his education is not completed, but ensured. Home Education, page 229. He will go on to continue learning for himself using the tool of reading. Thanks for joining me. Check the description for the links I mentioned, and I'll see you next time.